In my first year on the job, I argued a civil compensation case into a 7-year prison sentence in my second year. I turned a self-defense case into a 20-year murder conviction. The whole internet mocked me as the sure-loss lawyer, and my boss kicked me out. Until I awakened a forensic evidence system and started live streaming legal education. When that falsely accused of sexual harassment classmate Xiao, whose family was ruined, connected with me through the live stream and sobbed out his story. I looked at the surveillance footage showing sexual harassment from 20 meters away and let out a cold laugh. I'll take this case. Since the law is silent for now, then I'll use magic to deliver justice. My name is Jiang Feng. I graduated from Hannah University of Political Science and Law, once hailed as the most promising rookie lawyer in the industry. But now I'm the laughingstock of the entire legal circle, nicknamed Case Killer, or worse. The Prison Guide. Just 10 minutes ago, Lin Chong, founder of Johnson Law Firm and also my mentor, pointed at my nose, spraying spittle as he roared, "Jiang Feng, how big a mess are you going to make for me next? Get out. Take your stuff and get out of here now." I stood under the scorching sun, holding my cardboard box, staring at that tightly shut glass door. I felt no anger, only a profound sense of absurdity. They called me foolish, said I didn't know how to compromise, accused me of ruining the client's bright future, but only I know the truth. Every decision I made was grounded in the truth, in the most fundamental justice of the law. Half a year ago, in that construction site compensation case, Lin Chong gave me flawless evidence. A worker had accidentally fallen to his death. The family demanded a settlement of 1.5 million yuan, and it would have been closed privately. It looked so simple, just sign the papers, money exchange, done. But I took one more look at the scene photos and asked the co-workers one more question. In the end, I uncovered a hidden video. The deceased had been demanding his half-year's overdue wages, and his agitation triggered a heart attack. But the contractor thought he was faking it, stood by coldly, even taunting him before walking away, leaving the man to fall to his death in despair. It wasn't an accident, it was negligent homicide. I presented the evidence in court. The original 1.5 million yuan civil settlement turned into a 7-year prison sentence. Lin Chong called me crazy, said I turned a simple case into a complicated mess and offended the local powers. But I know that if I hadn't done this, that dead worker would forever be just an accident. 3 months ago, that self-defense case. The defendant claimed his wife was assaulted on the street, and he accidentally stabbed the attacker to death. Everyone thought it was a case of a hero saving a damsel, a textbook self-defense, acquitted, and all's well. I dug one step deeper. I found that the so-called wife was actually the defendant's ex-wife. Even more absurd, the ex-wife had cheated first, taken all the ex-husband's property, leaving him with nothing. That day, the ex-husband just wanted to get back some child support, but the defendant used it as an excuse and deliberately stabbed him to death. It was a carefully planned murder, not a spontaneous act of self-defense. So, under my defense, the defendant went from an innocent hero to a murderer serving 20 years in prison. Lin Chong was shaking with anger, saying I ruined the firm's reputation, saying I didn't understand what it meant to maximize client interests. And a month ago, innocent became guilty, appeal turned into life sentence. In Lin Chong's eyes, I'm a disaster. But in the eyes of those victims, I am the only light. Unfortunately, the light was too harsh, revealing too many people's ugliness, so I was extinguished. Walking on the streets of Tianhai City, the sunlight stung my eyes. My phone vibrated. A bank message showed my balance was less than 300 yuan. Rent, utilities, food in this provincial capital, a lawyer blacklisted by the industry could barely survive. Could it be that doing the right thing in this world is actually wrong? I laughed self-deprecatingly, a bitter smile curling at the corners of my mouth. Back in that rented room of just over 10 square meters, I collapsed into a chair, staring blankly at the mold stains on the ceiling. Just as I was about to open a job search app to see if I could deliver food to make ends meet, a cold mechanical voice suddenly exploded in my mind. Ding! Detected that the host upholds absolute justice, despite worldly misunderstanding, unchanged in original intent. The legal evidence pioneer system is binding. Binding successful. Novice mission released. Complete 1 legal consultation. Reward: 100 yuan in cash, deposited through legal and compliant means. Subsequent missions. Accept case assignments. Rewards will be given based on performance scores, including but not limited to cash, physical items, special skill books, etc. System, I was stunned. Then my eyes lit up like never before. Isn't this a pillow just when I was dozing off? Before, I was wary of the firm's reputation and the industry's unwritten rules, so I didn't dare to be too serious. Now I'm all alone, barely able to afford a meal. What do I have to worry about? Since you all say I only know how to send people to jail, let me show you what a true forensic pioneer looks like. I sat up abruptly. I opened the laptop on my desk, logged into that long, dusty live streaming account, Quine, and changed my bio in one swift motion. Jiang Feng, former lawyer at Johnson Associates, offering free online consultations. Freeloaders welcome. No tricks, young or old. Click to start the live stream. The camera focused on my slightly gaunt but sharp-eyed face. At first, only a few people were in the live room, familiar faces or haters who'd rushed over to mock me. Comments trickled in sparsely. Yo, isn't this the great lawyer Jiang? What, the firm kicked you out, so you're begging online now? Haha, everyone watch out, don't get sent to jail after consulting him. I heard he can argue innocence into guilt. Impressive. Faced with these taunts, I didn't get angry, I just smiled. Infamy is still fame, and traffic equals money. Besides, now I have the system backing me up. Welcome, everyone. I looked at the camera, my voice calm and gentle. Whether you want to ask legal questions or hear stories, I'll answer for free. If you have a doubt, I have an answer. Soon enough, the first live call request popped up, the profile picture of vulgar meme, the ID berserker. After connecting, a burst of laughter came through. Streamer, let me ask you something. I use sign language to flirt with a deaf mute woman. Is that considered verbal harassment or physical harassment? Will I be sentenced? The live room went silent for a second, then erupted in laughter. Clearly, this was someone looking for trouble, tried to embarrass me or test my limits. If it were before, I might have hedged to protect my image. But now, I pushed up my glasses, my gaze turning stern, my voice resolute. Sir, please watch your wording. Sign language is the language of the deaf community, their voice. Making insulting sign language gestures to a deaf-mute person is legally equivalent to publicly humiliating them. This is not just harassment, it's public slander. According to Article 246 of the criminal law, publicly humiliating others by violence or other means, if the circumstances are serious, is punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Criminal detention, surveillance, or deprivation of political rights may also be imposed. Moreover, deaf-mute individuals belong to a vulnerable group. In judicial practice, crimes against vulnerable groups often receive heavier penalties. Your behavior is not only immoral, but also illegal. I suggest you turn yourself in for lenient treatment. As soon as the words fell, a pleasant sound rang in her mind. Ding! Completed a legal consultation. Reward. 100 yuan has been credited to the host's account. The phone vibrated, and the bank transfer message arrived as expected. It's real. The atmosphere in the live stream changed. Those who were originally waiting to see a joke stood frozen in place. Holy crap, he actually dared to answer and answered so professionally. His speed at citing legal articles was faster than flipping through a book. He's really got something. Could there really be hidden details in the previous case? As my answers grew more precise and sharp, the number of viewers in my live stream began to skyrocket. From a few dozen to a few hundred, then to over 1,000, all kinds of bizarre questions poured in. Jiang Liu, my boss makes me work overtime. Without pay, can I clear out his company to settle the debt? Jiang Liu, I stole and ate my neighbor's dog. Does that count as theft or misappropriation? Jiang Liu, if I insult a celebrity online, will I get arrested? I patiently answered each one, neither humble nor arrogant, with reason and evidence. Every answer was a lesson in law, and also an analysis of the dark side of human nature. The viewers were stunned. They realized that this publicly ridiculed, useless lawyer actually had real knowledge. Even his sense of justice was so strong, it was both terrifying and admirable. Just as my stream's popularity was climbing. In breaking the 5,000 live viewers mark, a new live connection request popped up. The avatar was pitch black. The ID was just one character, injustice. My heart skipped a beat inexplicably, and I clicked accept as if possessed. A crackling sound of static. Then came the hoarse, trembling voice of a young man. "Oh, Lawyer Jiang, can you help me? The voice was filled with deep despair, like a lost soul crawling out from the depths of hell. "Hello, go ahead," I said, softening my tone. "My name is Xiao Yu, a student at Wenhan University. Or rather, I used to be." He paused, as if gathering courage. 2 years ago, I was reading in the library. Because I had severe eczema, my inner thighs were very itchy, so I subconsciously scratched a few times. At the time, there was no one around, and I wasn't looking at anyone. But suddenly, a girl rushed over. She slapped me hard across the face, pointed at my nose, and called me a pervert, accusing me of sexually harassing her. The live stream barrage suddenly went silent. Everyone held their breath. Xiao Yu's voice was choked with tears as he continued. I tried to explain, saying I was just scratching an itch, that I wasn't looking at her, and certainly not doing anything indecent. But she wouldn't listen. She took out her phone and started recording. She screamed loudly, drawing the attention of the counselor and school administrators. Without distinguishing right from wrong, they concluded that I was guilty of sexual harassment. They threatened me, saying if I didn't apologize, they would fire me and call the police to ruin my reputation. My family's financial situation was very average. Attending this university had already drained my parents' savings. I was terrified of being expelled, so I agreed to apologize to that female classmate. She made me sign an admission of sexual harassment, and I signed it. I thought it would end there, but I never expected her to upload the video online. At this point, Zhao's voice choked up a bit. Netizens called me a pervert, and the workplaces of my parents were inundated with phone calls every day. Not long after, my parents were fired from their jobs. Some people even came at night to smash our windows and throw feces at our house. During that time, anyone associated with me had their phones blown up. Many people came to my house asking what happened, whether it was true that I sexually harassed a female student in college. Because the impact was too great, I was ultimately expelled. My father, driven to a heart condition by this incident, passed away. Zhao's voice was very calm, but Jiang Feng could feel the unimaginable injustice buried beneath that calm tone. The barrage in the live stream room also started to increase. No matter how many times I hear it, it's still too much. No matter what, you shouldn't drag the family into it. It's because of this incident that he lost his job, and his father too. Jiang Feng frowned. Those extreme netizen actions actually violated the law as well. But now was not the time to say much. He immediately pressed further. What happened next? Then, Xiao Tongxue took a deep breath and said, "Then my mom and I went to the police, but they said my dad's death had nothing to do with them. I reported that the female classmate had deliberately stirred up netizen emotions online to cyberbully me, which had caused serious consequences. I asked the police to file a case, but they refused. They even imposed public security control on me and my mom on charges of obstructing police duties. But I clearly did nothing wrong. I lost my education, my parents lost their jobs, and my dad is gone." By the end, Xiao Tongxue began to sob quietly. "Didn't you sue them in court for defamation and libel?" Jiang Feng frowned. "I did go, but it wasn't accepted. They said my current situation has no direct interest to the accused." Hearing this, Jiang Feng's eyes instantly showed shock. What the hell? Isn't there an obvious causal relationship? Which genius said that? But after thinking carefully, Jiang Feng probably understood the reason. Sexual harassment cases without physical contact already have inadequate regulations, and with the high online attention at the time, those involved probably didn't want to touch this hot potato. I thought about smoothing things over, apologizing while accepting their apology, but who knew I'd run into someone who was out for blood, the type to push things to the extreme. Now the other party has filed a lawsuit against me for sexual harassment, and the trial starts in 3 days. Lawyer Jiang, can you help me? If this continues, I don't want to go on living. Hearing this, Jiang Feng jolted awake. This was a live stream. Man, don't mess around. He quickly said, "Send me the relevant evidence. I've messaged you privately." Soon after, Jiang Feng's other backup phone rang. It was a friend request. After he accepted, the other party sent a document and several videos. Jiang Feng quickly skimmed through them, questioning his own sanity. The document contained records of the case, and the videos included surveillance footage from the library and some bystander recordings. In the surveillance footage, a guy walked in from the end of the hallway, occasionally scratching his thigh, then picked up a few books from the shelves, chose a quiet seat, and sat down. There was hardly anyone around him, and he was deeply absorbed in reading, never once looking up the entire time. But about 10 minutes later, a girl who was more than 20 meters away from him suddenly walked over with her phone raised and slapped the guy in the face. Judging by the intense physical movements that followed, she probably started cursing him out directly. Not only was the guy in the video stunned by the slap, Jiang Feng was also dumbfounded. Wasn't it the whole time, without any physical contact or eye contact? What kind of sexual harassment is this? Was it because they breathed the same air? Was this still the world he knew? Chapter 3. Counterclaim, see her off. Attorney Jiang, if you can't do anything either, then let's just forget it. Classmate Xiao sent a sighing emoji, with resignation and despair evident between the lines. The public opinion was too strong. No lawyer in the whole country was willing to take his case. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to Jiang Feng, a lawyer so famous. If Jiang Feng didn't help him either, then he would accept losing the case. It would be better than living in such humiliation. No. Jiang Feng suddenly raised his head, a smile appearing on his face. I'm taking your case. As soon as the words were spoken, the live stream room instantly exploded. Holy crap, Jiang Feng, don't mess around. Xiao can barely survive as it is, and you want to ruin him? Even if he did do it, at worst it's sexual harassment. If you get involved, you might be looking at 3 years minimum. Yeah, let's just stick to giving legal advice. This case is too deep for you to handle. Watching the live chat, Jiang Feng stopped smiling, his eyes turning serious. I'm not just taking Zhao's case. I'm going to sue Yang for attempted murder. After saying this, Jiang Feng told Xiao to contact him offline and quickly ended the live stream. Wenan University is in Jiangbei Province, not too far from Henan Province, but it still takes nearly 3 hours by high-speed rail. Plus, it's in a different province, so he wasn't familiar with the local judicial environment and policies, all of which would take time to figure out. Since he decided to take responsibility for Zhao's case, he had to be thorough. Staring at the just deposited 1,000 plus yuan in his bank card, Jiang Feng winced in pain. Forget it, if I handle this case well, maybe I'll get a bigger reward. He gritted his teeth, packed a few things, and directly bought a ticket to Jiangbei. At 8 p.m., Jiang Feng arrived in Wenhan City. Following the address given by classmate Xiao, he went straight to his rural hometown. Looking at the dilapidated mud house standing by the roadside, Jiang Feng fell silent. The outer wall was made of rammed earth, but there were many gaps and some yellowish-brown stains on it. As he approached, a pungent smell hit him in the face. Jiang Feng frowned. He originally thought classmate Xiao was exaggerating, but now it seemed he had been too conservative. The things on the wall were clearly dried human feces. He arrived at the gate and looked inside. The house had white plastered walls with signs of renovation and was roofed with red glazed tiles covered in moss. But the window glass was missing here and there, and all the broken holes were sealed with wooden boards. It was surprising that such a house still existed. Jiang Feng was a little dazed. The house was very old, a relic of the last century. Even the renovation couldn't hide the traces of time. Jiang Feng knocked on the door, and soon a figure hurriedly ran out from inside. It was a thin young man in his early 20s, with a fairly decent appearance, but his brows were heavy with exhaustion. Are you lawyer Jiang? The young man asked, his voice hoarse, just like in a live stream. Jiang Feng nodded. It's me. Xiao was taken aback for a moment. Then his eyes instantly reddened. He opened the door, grasped Jiang Feng's hand, and his voice trembled. Lawyer Jiang, thank you. I didn't think you would actually come. Although they had discussed it over the phone, Xiao had only taken it as Jiang Feng's polite gesture. After all, he had consulted many lawyers recently. Some had even promised to come, but never showed up in the end. But now, Jiang Feng not only came, but he came directly to his rural hometown. As they entered the main room, Jiang Feng immediately noticed the walls covered with award certificates. Xiao Yi, is that a guest? Just then, a slightly hoarse voice came from the room next to the main hall. This is my mother. She's fallen ill recently, too, Xiao said in a low voice. The door was not closed. Jiang Feng walked in and saw a woman in her 40s or 50s lying on the bed. She looked gaunt, with a sallow complexion, a few streaks of white hair at her temples, and a towel covering her forehead. The room was thick with the smell of Chinese herbal medicine. Seeing Jiang Feng enter, the woman tried to sit up. Jiang Feng quickly stepped forward to stop her. He said with a gentle smile, Hello, Annie. I'm a lawyer hired by your son, Xiao. He paused, then added, I'm a pro bono lawyer, handling Zhao's case for free. Hearing this, the woman instinctively looked at her son. Xiao nodded. The woman, too emotional to heed Jiang Feng's protests, sat up in bed and said in a trembling voice, "Lawyer Jiang, thank you. You're truly a kind person. Auntie, please rest. Xiao will be fine." It took a while to calm her down before she lay back down. The two went to the living room and sat down. Although Jiang Feng already knew the basic facts of the case from the documents, some details were clearer through face-to-face conversation. After a long while, classmate Xiao said bitterly, "Now, she has been recommended for graduate school and has received various scholarships, while I can't even get into school." Jiang Feng took out his phone and searched for classmate Yang's Weibo, seeing her latest update. "Sorry, but I really did succeed in getting recommended for graduate school and graduated smoothly. Then I'll continue to pursue my PhD beautifully and keep shining in the field I love. As for classmate Xiao, let alone graduate recommendation, I think even continuing your studies will be very difficult. No matter which school you try to go to later, you'll receive my evidence materials. This is the lesson I give you, pervert, to let you know that we modern fairies are not to be harassed by low-quality men like you. Oh, I heard classmate Zhao's mom is still around. I'll keep collecting evidence and try to get your mom sent in to keep you company." Beneath the post were piles of supportive comments. "Wow, so envious, sis, you got the graduate recommendation. I'm still struggling with my studies. These men really need to be taught a lesson. Lately, when I go to the cafeteria, I often feel men secretly staring at me, claiming the graduate recommendation. With a son like that, his mother can't be a good person either. Hang in there, sis, we support you. It's that I heard his dad passed away. Serves him right. Sisters, I'm so scared. I'm kind of cute, and since I'm at home, I wear short skirts. Lately, I always feel like my biological dad is sneaking peeks at me. Is he trying to rape me?" Jiang Feng glanced over, his expression stiffening. Then he propped his forehead and let out a long sigh. This world truly never lacks diversity of species. But when he saw this post by student Yang, he couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. False accusations, and then bragging about getting a postgraduate recommendation. 3 days later, the court session began. Because this incident had caused a huge uproar online, many media reporters and self-media practitioners gathered at the court entrance. As student Xiao and Jiang Feng reached the entrance, they were surrounded by the crowd. "Student Xiao, I heard you were expelled from school because of this. Do you now regret sexually harassing student Yang back then?" "Student Xiao, why did you hire a shameless lawyer like Jiang Feng? Are you planning to give up?" "Classmate Xiao, your father passed away from a heart attack because of this case, and I heard your mother isn't doing well either. Aren't you worried she might end up the same way?" "Lawyer Jiang, are you taking this case just to seek attention?" The questions were sharp and varied. Seeing that classmate Xiao was not in a good state, Jiang Feng quickly stopped those people. "Rest assured, fellow media friends, my Summit law firm is very confident in winning this trial. In the future, you can also entrust your cases to us at Summit Law Firm." With that, he directly pulled classmate Xiao into the courthouse. Soon after, classmate Yang and her lawyer also walked in. The opposing lawyer was a middle-aged, slightly plump woman with short hair. Jiang Feng remembered her, as she specialized in women's cases. Seeing the confident look on the other side, classmate Xiao looked at Jiang Feng with some concern. "Lawyer Jiang, do you think we can win?" Jiang Feng paused for a moment, shook his head, and sighed. "There's no guarantee of the death penalty, but with the accumulated charges, we could try to get a 10-year sentence." Classmate Xiao looked at him strangely, re-evaluating the lawyer he had hired, wanting to speak but holding back. "I hired you to defend me, not to dream for me." Even as the client, he always thought Jiang Feng's talk of intentional homicide prosecution in the live stream was just for show. After all, this case was already 2 years old. Not only was public opinion overwhelmingly one-sided, but lawyers in the industry also avoided it like the plague, and the attitude of the public security, prosecution, and court was far from optimistic. If he weren't truly desperate, he wouldn't have looked for a lawyer online, a lawyer with a tarnished reputation to consult. "Don't worry, I'm not an ordinary lawyer. I know the art of war." Knowing that classmate Xiao didn't believe him, Jiang Feng winked, made a shushing gesture, then led the way into the courtroom, using tactical exaggeration to achieve strategic breakthroughs. How could these ordinary people understand such tactics? Inside the courtroom, it was solemn and majestic. Jiang Feng and classmate Xiao sat on the defendant's bench. Across from them were classmate Yang and her attorney, Lawyer Zhao. The public gallery was also filled with media reporters. With the buffs of gender conflict, sexual harassment, prestigious universities, and coupled with Jiang Feng, an unusual lawyer's resume. This case had already stirred up public opinion long before the trial, and even the court proceedings were live-streamed nationwide. As soon as Jiang Feng entered the courtroom, the live-stream barrage went absolutely crazy. No way. Xiao actually went to lawyer Jiang? Oh no. Originally, it was just expulsion and an apology with compensation, but now it might be 5 years in prison. A bunch of simps. Lawyer Jiang said this woman maliciously instigated and deliberately killed someone. I support a 10-year sentence. Your support means nothing. Look at this all-female courtroom. They'll definitely rule in Xiao's favor. Soon, the judge entered and struck the gavel to announce the start of the trial, and the heated barrage quickly quieted down. After the routine procedures, Lawyer Zhao was the first to stand up. Your Honor, the facts are clear and the evidence is solid. My client, classmate Yang, was sexually harassed by the defendant, Xiao, in the library. This behavior caused immense psychological trauma to my client, severely affecting her studies and life. Xiao admitted on the spot and signed a liability statement. Our demand is a public apology and 200,000 yuan in compensation for emotional damages. After saying that, she gave Jiang Feng a disdainful glance, not bothering to take her unreliable colleague seriously. With the surveillance footage in hand and the signed liability acknowledgement from Xiao, even if the best lawyer showed up, this case wouldn't stand a chance. Does the defendant have anything to say? The judge nodded and turned his gaze directly to Jiang Feng, clearly eager to get off work. Although the public sentiment around this case was complicated, the case itself was very straightforward. As long as Jiang Feng went through the motions, she would just bang the gavel and announce the verdict. Your Honor, our side does not accept the plaintiff's accusations. Moreover, I intend to file a counterclaim against the plaintiff, student Yang, for attempted intentional homicide. Jiang Feng stood up, his tone resounding, instantly electrifying the entire courtroom. Damn, a real counterclaim? Did I hear that right? Attempted homicide? First there was long-distance sexual harassment. Now long-distance homicide. This case is likely to go into the database as a model example. The media frantically snapped photos, and the live stream comments exploded. Regardless of the outcome this time, just this counterclaim alone guarantees today's headline. Attempted intentional homicide? The judge was slightly taken aback. Was this defense lawyer serious? Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff's claim of sexual harassment is a false accusation based entirely on subjective assumptions. We have sufficient evidence that student Xiao did not engage in sexual harassment, but instead, due to the plaintiff student Yang's abuse of public opinion, he and his family have suffered severe cyberbullying. His father passed away with resentment, and his mother is seriously ill. We countersue the plaintiff for insult, defamation, provocation, and intentional homicide, and will hold him criminally liable. After these words, the courtroom fell into dead silence. Not to mention the judge was stunned. Even the plaintiff's lawyer, Zhao, never expected the case to take this turn. She had only prepared how to get the defendant locked up. She hadn't prepared how to keep her own client out of prison. Lawyer Jiang, student Xiao, did commit indecent acts in a public place and has signed an admission of responsibility. As the defendant's lawyer, you can't distort the facts, can you? Jiang Feng gave a slight smile, ignoring lawyer Zhao's retort, and instead turned to the judge. Your Honor, the defense requests to play the surveillance video from the library on the day of the incident. Permission granted. The video was soon played in court again. Jiang Feng deliberately slowed it down and analyzed it frame by frame. Please note that from the moment student Xiao entered the library until he sat down, there was no abnormal behavior. The leg-scratching action lasted only a few seconds and occurred more than 20 meters away from the plaintiff. There was no eye contact, verbal communication, or physical contact. So how does this constitute sexual harassment? Attorney Zhao let out a cold laugh and immediately countered. Subjective feeling is the key to determining sexual harassment. If our client feels offended, then it is sexual harassment. Jiang Feng's eyes sharpened. Subjective feeling? By your logic, can I also accuse you of sexual harassment right now because I feel offended by your statement? Attorney Zhao was choked up, unable to speak. A ripple of low laughter came from the gallery. Seeing the other party silent, Jiang Feng did not show any mercy and pressed on. The law requires facts and evidence, not subjective assumptions. The determination of sexual harassment in criminal law must be based on objective behavior and subjective intent. Student Zhao's behavior has neither objective sexual harassment conduct, nor can it prove subjective harassment intent. The so-called acknowledgement of liability was written under coercion from multiple parties, not of his own volition. In summary, the charge of sexual harassment cannot be established. This series of combos silenced the entire courtroom. Even the public opinion was forcefully turned around by Jiang Feng's words. Holy crap, this lawyer Jiang has some skills. He didn't just awaken a system where every client he sends to jail makes him stronger, did he? Possible if he sends 3 in, he'll be invincible. Folks, I think there's some truth to it. Miss Yang's sexual harassment claims don't hold up in fact or in law. A bunch of stinky men. The female judge will bring fairness and justice to our sisters. At this moment, Jiang Feng naturally had no idea about the online storm. Instead, he took advantage of lawyer Zhao's shock to press his attack. Your Honor, the plaintiff requests to present a second set of evidence. Miss Yang's inflammatory statements posted on online platforms and records of cyberbullying by her fans against Miss Xiao and her family. This time, the judge said nothing, just nodded repeatedly. Soon, a screenshot of Miss Yang's Weibo post popped up on the screen. I'll get your mom locked up too. When that line appeared, Jiang Feng smiled. This was his ultimate weapon. Your Honor, student Yang's actions clearly exceed the scope of normal rights protection. His incitement to commit crimes directly contributed to the tragic changes in student Zhao's family. Lawyer Zhao finally realized the situation was out of control and hastily interrupted. This is irrelevant to the case. We request the court to reject the defendant's irrelevant evidence. Objection overruled. Permission granted to present. The judge gave a wry smile and glared at lawyer Zhao in exasperation. You only hit the brakes after the car's already slammed into the wall. You only wipe your nose after the snot's already in your mouth. This is a court of law. How can we not allow them to present evidence? Your Honor, this is student Zhao's psychological evaluation. It shows that he suffers from severe depression, directly resulting from this incident. Student Zhao's mother is now paralyzed at home, and his father left a suicide note the night before he died. We can also provide that. Plaintiff student Yang's actions constitute the crimes of insult, defamation, and incitement to cyber violence with severe consequences, amounting to intentional homicide. We respectfully request that the court pursue his criminal liability according to law and order him to compensate student Zhao's family for economic losses and moral damages totaling 1 million yuan. Jiang Feng spoke confidently, presenting each piece of evidence one by one. The courtroom erupted. Even lawyer Zhao was completely flustered. Your Honor, my client was merely exercising her legitimate rights. The online comments were spontaneous actions by netizens and have nothing to do with her. Make sure to send your mother in too. That's legitimate rights? That's clearly inciting crime. The presiding female judge's expression darkened. She slammed her gavel hard, cutting off the argument between the two. I declare this case adjourned. The court will recess for 30 minutes for deliberation. In the hallway, Xiao was so nervous his palms were sweating. Jiang Feng patted his shoulder. Don't worry, we're in the right. Beside them, Yang's face was ashen. Even lawyer Zhao remained silent. On Ziahongshu and Tieba, it was a storm of chaos. Every post related to the trial had over 100,000 views. Soon, court resumed. The judge, expressionless, slowly read the verdict. After deliberation, this court finds that the plaintiff Yang's accusation of sexual harassment against Xiao is insufficiently supported by evidence and is hereby dismissed. Conversely, Yang maliciously amplified the conflict using public opinion, published inflammatory statements, and incited others to carry out cyber violence, causing serious harm to Xiao and his family. Her actions constitute defamation. Sentence classmate Yang to 3 years imprisonment, suspended for 2 years, in order to pay classmate Xiao a total of 300,000 yuan in economic damages and emotional distress compensation, as well as to issue a public apology on their social media homepage for no less than 3 months. Additionally, regarding classmate Zhao's counterclaim for attempted murder, it was not supported due to an incomplete chain of evidence. The gavel fell, finalizing the verdict. Classmate Xiao stood rooted to the spot, tears silently streaming down. Even if it was delayed, justice had finally arrived. Jiang Feng let out a long sigh of relief. His exaggerated tactics had achieved strategic breakthroughs, and he had finally turned the tables. After the trial, lawyer Zhao pulled along the pale-faced classmate Yang, put on masks, and hurriedly left. But as soon as Jiang Feng and classmate Xiao walked out of the courthouse, they were swarmed by the media. Lawyer Jiang, why did you take this case? Is it for publicity? Classmate Xiao, now that your name has been cleared, what are your plans for the future? Jiang Feng stood in front of classmate Xiao and said loudly into the microphone, a lawyer's duty is to uphold the fairness and dignity of the law, regardless of the size of the case or the wealth of the client. Anyone who suffers injustice deserves to be defended. As a forensic trailblazer, one should not only focus on the win rate, but also guard the justice of every ordinary person. As soon as the words fell, system notification sounds rang in his mind one after another. Ding. Case assignment completed. Grade A. Reward. 100,000 yuan in cash. Ding. Obtain the title Light of Justice. Subsequent case, consultation, rewards doubled. Jiang Feng's lips curled up. Indeed, the system did not deceive me. On the other side, the library's sexual harassment case took a turn. Several hashtags related to lawyer Jiang Feng trended on hot search. Some cursed classmate Yang, calling her a vicious woman. Others questioned Jiang Feng, calling him a litigation stick. But more people felt sympathy for classmate Xiao and gave a thumbs up for justice. After parting with classmate Xiao, Jiang Feng looked at the extra 100,000 yuan in his balance and deliberately upgraded his return ticket to a high-speed rail business class seat. Money earned with one's own ability must be spent lavishly. Half an hour later, in the high-speed rail carriage, Jiang Feng gazed out the window, somewhat lost in thought. He saw the online public opinion. Countless women cursed him as a litigation stick. His private messages on Douyin and Weibo were flooded. He himself also made it onto Zaya Hongshu's must-kill list. Top spot. The road is tough but worth it. 3 hours is a long time. How about trying double rewards? On a work day, the business class car was especially quiet. He closed Weibo and suddenly had the idea to go live. He acted on it right away. After all, he'd been through the torture of the bar exam, so his execution skills were top-notch. Soon, the live stream started. With a buzz around him, the stream instantly hit 100,000 plus viewers. Holy crap, Lawyer Jiang is a big streamer now. We old fans are lucky. Lawyer Jiang, you are the beacon of male rights. Jiang the lawsuit monger, I've already contacted my sisters to report your stream. Prepare to die. The comments were scrolling too fast, and Jiang Feng experienced a top influencer's life for the first time. Too bad, by winning cases on gender issues, he mostly gained fans among the poor guys. Counting on live streaming to make money was as hopeless as waiting to die. After a brief interaction with the comments, he quickly opened the live stream call feature. Right now, he really wanted to try this. The effect of the light of justice title doubling. Can you hear me? Yes. What is the issue you need advice on? Lawyer Jiang, my son is being bullied at school. He's really badly hurt. I called the police, I filed a lawsuit, but the other family has money and connections, and they even sent someone to threaten me, saying if I keep making trouble, they'll make sure my son dies a horrible death. I really don't know what to do anymore. I am useless. A middle-aged woman cried like a helpless child in a live stream with hundreds of thousands of viewers. The live stream instantly fell silent. Everyone could hear how weary and powerless this middle-aged woman's voice was. The viewers who were just looking for entertainment stopped. Some viewers actually recognized the Annie's voice. This voice sounds familiar. Could it be Annie Liwan? This voice sounds familiar. Could it be Annie Liwan? Yeah, I think I've seen her plea video online before. She said her son was bullied at school for 2 years, suffered 14 fractures, and countless bruises. It's tragic. I remember that too. It made quite a stir back then, but later I heard she lost the case, and people said she was just trying to scam money and gain attention. The mood of the live stream comments completely reversed within just a few seconds. Just a moment ago, it was a battlefield of gender wars and a carnival of entertainment seekers. The next second, it was frozen solid by this suffocatingly heavy topic. The woman on the other end of the live call had gone from stifled sobs to choked, despairing cries. She was Chun-Li Juan. After 2 years of brutal bullying, her son's spirit was completely shattered. He spent his days in gloom. I'm sorry, Lawyer Jiang, for bothering you. Chun-Li Juan's voice sounded like ashes scattered by the wind, laden with deep apology and an unshakable despair. She seemed about to hang up the live call. She had simply been desperate, grabbing at straws after seeing Jiang Feng's trending topic like a drowning person clutching at the last piece of driftwood, and had mustered the courage to connect. But tearing open her bleeding wounds again in front of hundreds of thousands of people made this simple rural woman feel utterly ashamed. What's more, the comments had already recognized her, bringing up her past defeat in court and those accusations of scamming for money and publicity stunts. That was more brutal than stabbing her directly. Wait a moment. Just then, Jiang Feng's calm voice cut through all the noisy comments, piercing precisely into her ears. Did you sign a confidentiality agreement prohibiting disclosure of the trial details? That agreement completely sealed your lips, leaving you with no way to voice your grievances or express your suffering. Chun Lijuan's hand, about to hang up, froze in midair. She jerked her head up and blurted out, How do you know?" Jiang Feng's lips curled into a meaningful smile. "I know more than that. I also know how you lost the case." These words made Chun Lijuan knit her brows, and any thought of hanging up vanished instantly. In a live stream room, hundreds of thousands of viewers held their breath in unison. They were incredibly curious about how this forensic pioneer, who had just won a shocking reversal case, would handle such an old case that seemed almost nailed to a pillar of shame. Annie, the lawyer you hired, previously sued the other party for intentional injury. Jiang Feng leaned back in the spacious business class seat of the high-speed train, his gaze not on the scenery rushing past the window, but seeming to pierce through the screen to the desperate mother on the other end of the phone. He didn't use a question, he used a statement. Chun Lijuan on the other end of the line was clearly stunned by this assertive remark instinctively, letting out a confused, "Huh." Jiang Feng ignored her reaction and continued in that cold, precise tone. "But you lost the case, and you lost it badly. Because from start to finish, you couldn't produce even a single piece of evidence directly proving that your son was beaten. Not a single one, am I right?" These words struck like lightning in Chun Lijuan's gray, lifeless mind, exploding with a deafening roar. Before she could digest this immense shock, Jiang Feng's third wave of attack followed immediately. Not only that, but the other side presented a mountain of so-called evidence in court. Testimonies from your son's classmates, statements from teachers, even clips from surveillance footage. All of it pointed to one and only one conclusion. Your son fell and injured himself by accident. As he said this, a cold smirk curved at the corner of Jiang Feng's mouth. Am I right or wrong? Each word cut deeper than the last. Each word pierced to the bone more than the last. Jiang Feng spoke at a measured pace, each word like a scalpel tempered in ice, precisely slicing through the rotten, festering reality that had been Chun Lijuan's life for over 2 years. The livestream fell into dead silence. The barrage of mocking, skeptical, and rubbernecking comments vanished without a trace. The scrolling comments section seemed to have been frozen in place. Everyone was utterly stunned by Jiang Feng's astonishingly skillful deduction. How the hell did he do it? He hadn't even seen the case files. Relying solely on a few broken sobs over the phone, he had reconstructed the entire core thread of the case, the key reason for losing the lawsuit, and the other side's appalling tactics with perfect accuracy. This was no longer just a simple legal analysis. This was mind reading, a God's eye view. How do you know?" Chun Lijuan's voice trembled uncontrollably, a quiver mixed with extreme shock and terror. Every word and every detail Jiang Feng said matched exactly with what she had personally experienced. Back then, she sold her house and spent all her savings to hire the most renowned gold medal lawyer in the city. He confidently filed the case as intentional injury, but as soon as they entered the courtroom, the opposing lawyer overwhelmed them completely. The evidence the opposing side presented was overwhelming, all of it proving that her son had fallen on his own. Classmates said he accidentally fell while running in PE class. The teacher said he missed a step because he was looking at his phone while going down the stairs. In the surveillance footage, he indeed fell on flat ground. In 2 years, he had fractures a total of 14 times. Each time, there was an explanation that was so reasonable and logical that she could not refute it. But she couldn't find even a single piece of evidence that the other party had touched him. In the end, the judge dismissed all her claims due to insufficient evidence. She refused to accept the verdict and wanted to appeal, even seek media exposure. But the opposing lawyer directly slapped a previously signed agreement in her face and coldly warned her that if she dared to spread rumors again, they would countersue her for defamation and have her locked up too. Not until that moment did she despairingly realize that she had fallen into a trap tailor-made for her and her son from the very beginning. "I know everything." Jiang Feng sighed softly, his voice carrying a chilling coldness that made one's heart tremble. Because these methods are too classic. So classic that they could be written into criminal psychology textbooks as perfect crime cases for analysis. He paused, then addressed the hundreds of thousands of viewers in the live stream, as well as the stunned Chen Lijuan on the other end of the phone, throwing out a question that made everyone's scalp tingle. Has everyone considered this? What kind of method could make a 16-year-old boy willingly break 14 of his own bones in just 2 years? This is no longer simple school bullying. Jiang Feng's voice suddenly turned icy, each word like a knife. This is the most sophisticated psychological abuse. It is a bloodless murder that can completely destroy a person's mind. Boom! Those 2 words exploded like a bomb across the entire live stream. Holy shit, murder without blood. Lawyer Jiang's characterization of this gives me chills down my spine. Breaking his own bones 14 times, how the hell was that done? Is the person behind this a demon? The more I think about it, the more terrifying it gets, folks. The sheer malice and meticulous calculation needed to set up such a trap. Annie Lijuan, don't hang up, listen to Lawyer Jiang. He really gets it. He can really save your son. Chen Lijuan, who had originally given up and was completely resigned upon hearing the word murder, felt as if her long dormant, ash-gray heart was struck hard by a faint but piercing electric current. For the first time, she felt that someone truly understood her son's pain. Someone had truly seen through the schemes of those demons in human skin. He didn't accuse her of lacking evidence. He didn't advise her to just let it go. He directly labeled their actions as murder. Lawyer Jiang, Chen Lijuan's voice carried a trembling, hardly dared to hope spark of revived hope. My son, can he be saved? He can be saved. Jiang Feng's answer was only 2 words, but they fell like a boulder into a deep pool, heavy and unquestionable. But not the way you were trying before. He adjusted his position in the high-speed rail business class seat, his entire demeanor becoming sharp and serious. That top-tier lawyer you hired made a textbook mistake. He tried to open a lock forged from loopholes in the rules with a conventional key. It was doomed to fail. The core of the charge of intentional injury, the iron rule of law, is direct harmful conduct. In plain terms, you must produce irrefutable proof that they personally threw the punches and kicks that injured your son. But those little bastards are clever, or rather, they have a very clever shady strategist behind them. From start to finish, they might not have touched even a single hair on your son's head. Jiang Feng's voice, transmitted clearly through the signal, drilled into the ears of the hundreds of thousands of viewers in the live stream, every word carrying a chilling edge. The weapon they used is 10,000 times more vicious than a fist. It's called psychological coercion. They will find what your son treasures most and fears losing most, maybe the girl he has a crush on, maybe your elderly parents, or maybe a secret he desperately wants to hide. Then they'll hold a knife to these soft spots, forcing your son to hurt himself. Jiang Feng's voice turned ice cold, as if recounting a murder that had already happened. Roll down the stairs from the 3rd floor, or we'll Photoshop nude photos of the girl you like and spread them all over the school. Bang your head against the wall until it bleeds, or your mom might accidentally get brushed by a car on her way home tonight. Every time, the perpetrator is your son himself. Every time, to outsiders, it's just one damn accident after another. So your lawsuit is bound to fail. Because under the cold letter of the law, it was never those demons who hurt your son. It was himself. Jiang Feng's analysis cut like a surgeon's scalpel, precisely slicing open the deepest, most festering wound of this case, laying the bloody truth bare before everyone. The barrage of comments in the live stream room, with over 100,000 viewers, completely disappeared. Dead silence. Everyone was stunned by this bullying tactic, so insidious, it was beyond imagination, their scalps tingling. This isn't just kids messing around, damn it. This is a group of devils in human skin carrying out a 2-year-long, meticulously planned psychological torture. I understand. On the other end of the phone, Chun-Li Juan's breath was instantly sucked away, replaced by a suppressed, extreme sobbing that seemed to cough out her lungs. She understood it all now. Why her son's eyes were always hollow like a puppet's every time he came home severely injured. Why he always repeated the words, "I was careless," yet the physical injuries grew more vicious each time. So he had been carrying an entire hell on his shoulders, all alone. "Lawyer Jiang, I beg you, please save my son." Chun-Li Juan's emotional dam burst completely at that moment. She shed all adult dignity and pretense, letting out the most harrowing wail under the gaze of 100,000 people. "I'll kowtow to you. I'll be your beast of burden, just as long as you can save my child." "Aunt Chun, get up from your knees." Jiang Feng's voice suddenly rose, carrying a tone of unquestionable authority. "I'm taking your case. Not a single cent for attorney fees. After we win the case, I'll make the parents of those bastards bring you the money crying." After saying that, he glanced at the upper right corner of the live stream, where the viewer count had soared to 700,000, yet there was not a ripple in his eyes. "Everyone, today's live stream ends here." He ignored the full screen of, "Don't go, I'll send you rockets," the barrage messages, and directly cut off the live stream. This was no longer a legal consultation. This was a power of attorney written with a mother's blood and tears. The high-speed train raced silently along the tracks, the city lights outside the window flying past rapidly. His phone vibrated lightly. Chun-Li Juan's friend request, and case files had been packaged and sent over. Jiang Feng opened the document. One photo after another stabbed into his pupils like sharp knives. The victim, Wu Yangyang, 16 years old, a senior at Tianhai No. 10 High School, a grade skipper, and a recognized genius. The perpetrators, and Wei, Song Yang, Zhong Te, senior students at the same school, 3 notorious school bullies. The case records coldly stated the facts. From the start of high school, over 2 years, Wu Yangyang had suffered 14 fractures. Arm, ribs, leg, collarbone. The most serious was a minor skull fracture. The doctor said if it had been 1 centimeter off, he would have been a vegetable. Every time they called the police, every time they tearfully complained to the school, the response was shockingly consistent. Accidental fall injuries, lack of evidence of foul play. The police went from taking it seriously to being perfunctory. The school went from meetings to impatience. Even the top lawyer that Chun-Li Juan had hired at great expense, after losing the case, made snide remarks in the media, insinuating that their family was trying to extort money and make a mountain out of a molehill. Jiang Feng's gaze finally settled on a hospital bed photo of Wu Yangyang. He was an extremely delicate young man, wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, with a scholarly air in his brow. But his eyes were like a stagnant pool of polluted water, murky and hollow, without a trace of the light that should belong to a 16-year-old. Jiang Feng's fingertip slid across the icy screen, tapping into the social media account of the perpetrator and Wei. A latest post from half an hour ago, right after the verdict in Zhao's case was announced. The content was a line dripping with sarcasm. LMAO, online sexual harassment gets 3 years? Then making someone break their own bones should get us the death penalty, right? At Lawyer Jiang Feng, you be the judge. The attached photo showed 3 teens with spiky hair dyed yellow, green, and blue in a garish KTV booth, arms around heavily made-up girls, all flipping off the camera. Arrogant, reckless, stupid beyond caution. The comment section was a cesspool of malice. Wei Ji is a legend. The law is just a game for smart guys like us. That dumbass Wu Yangyang's probably still in bed with a catheter after 2 years. LOL. I heard his country bumpkin mom is still crying online. What a pathetic loser who won't learn until it's too late. Jiang Feng read through every word, expressionless, taking it all in. He slowly turned off his phone, the dimming screen reflecting a face devoid of warmth. He closed his eyes, sinking into the soft back of the chair. In his mind, those photos, those words, those arrogant faces flashed by like film reels at high speed. The conventional legal path was a dead end. The chain of evidence for intentional injury could never be closed. Time to take a different path. A path they never imagined, one leading straight to hell. A cold, icy arc curled at the corner of Jiang Feng's mouth. You like playing with the rules, don't you? You think of yourselves as above the law. Smart people, aren't TU? Didn't TU specifically ask me to judge? Fine, I'll judge. I'll tailor a unique solution just for you scumbags. The end of bullying ISNT and apology, ISNT compensation, and certainly not that laughable expulsion. It's cold handcuffs, a prison van, and iron bars that stretch into an endless horizon. Life imprisonment in the urban village of Tianhai. The air in a dilapidated single-story house was thick with the smell of damp mildew. Chun-Li Juan stood up from the squeaky old wooden chair and carefully hung up the phone. A bitter smile, uglier than tears, finally forced its way onto her worried face. She turned to look at the black and white portrait hanging on the wall and could no longer hold back her tears. The man in the portrait had an honest smile. It was her husband, Wu Dashin, who had passed away over 3 years ago. Dashin, finally there's a lawyer. He said he's willing to help us. Dashin, did you hear that? Yang can be saved. Yang can be saved. That lawyer will definitely help us win this case. He said he could win. Chun-Li Juan covered her mouth to stifle her sobs, afraid of waking her son in the inner room. Mom, a weak voice came from the inner room. Chun-Li Juan quickly wiped her tears and pushed the door open. The dim room was filled with a strong smell of Chinese herbal medicine. Wu Yangyang lay on the bed, his left arm in a cast, his face pale without a trace of color. He watched his mother's red-rimmed eyes, a faint ripple stirring in his hollow gaze. Mom, you've hired a lawyer again? Chun-Li Juan nodded heavily, forcing a faint smile onto her face. This time is different. This lawyer Jiang is really good. He knows everything. Lawyer Jiang? Wu Yangyang's brows furrowed slightly. Is that the famous lawyer Jiang Feng from the internet? Yes, that's him. Seeing her son react, Chun-Li Juan said excitedly. Wu Yangyang's eyes, however, dimmed. He picked up the phone from beside his pillow and handed it to his mother with difficulty. Mom, take a look at this. Chun-Li Juan took the phone doubtfully. The screen displayed various news and posts about Jiang Feng. Golden lawyer killer. Cases he handles turn civil into criminal, innocent into life sentences. The lawyer of forensic pioneer. Is he a partner of justice or an agent of the devil? A detailed account of lawyer Jiang Feng's outrageous track record. Every defendant wants to strangle him. Looking at these shocking headlines, the smile on Chun-Li Juan's face slowly froze. She had been so excited before that she hadn't bothered to look into Jiang Feng's reputation. Now it seemed this lawyer Jiang was nothing but a jinx. Mom, forget it. Wu Yangyang's voice was filled with exhaustion and despair. We can't fight them. Don't waste any more effort. Chun-Li Juan's heart sank. The previous gold medal lawyer had already drained all their savings and left them in debt. Was this lawyer Jiang Feng really reliable? But thinking of Jiang Feng's incisive analysis on the phone, she clung to a sliver of hope. Might as well try anything, even if it's a long shot. The next day, Chun-Li Juan helped Wu Yangyang find Jiang Feng's home, following the address given. Seeing this rented apartment, no better than her own, Chun-Li Juan's heart sank even further. Come in. Jiang Feng opened the door and invited the mother and son inside. Lawyer Jiang, these are all the documents for our case. Chun-Li Juan placed a thick file folder on the table, her voice a little nervous. Jiang Feng didn't look at the materials but directly at Wu Yangyang, his gaze calm and sharp. Your previous lawyer sued them for intentional injury. That approach was wrong from the start. He cut straight to the chase, because you don't have evidence of them directly assaulting you. Now I'm going to reopen the case for you, but I need to know the whole truth. Wu Yangyang lowered his head and remained silent. Jiang Feng continued. Those three, did they threaten you that if you didn't do as they said, they would harass a girl you care about deeply, and your mother? Boom! These words exploded like a thunderbolt in Wu Yangyang's mind. He suddenly looked up, staring at Jiang Feng as if he were a monster, his body trembling uncontrollably. Chun-Li Juan looked at her son. She had never known that her son had a girl he liked. During yesterday's live call, she hadn't noticed any details about that. That girl, she's the one you like, isn't she? Jiang Feng's tone remained calm, yet carried a piercing power that cut through the heart. You were afraid she would get hurt, so you prefer to break your own bones over and over again just to protect her. Am I right or wrong? Stop it. Wu Yangyang's emotions collapsed instantly. He clutched his hair and let out a beastly roar. For 2 years, he had kept this secret alone, enduring both physical and mental torment. He dared not tell anyone, because Wei and his gang had warned him that if he breathed a single word of it, that girl would be ruined by them. Moreover, they would hire someone to hit his mother with a car on her way home at night. Wu Yangyang had seen for himself how Wei and his gang treated a girl who had crossed them. He didn't dare take the risk. Animals, they were all animals. Although Chen Lijuan had always known the source of her son's pain, she still rushed over. She hugged her son tightly. Anger and heartache nearly drove her out of control, and she raised her hand to slap her own face. "It's my fault. I'm useless. I'm useless as a mother." Jiang Feng grabbed her wrist firmly. "Crying is useless now." His voice was as cold as ice. "Conventional legal channels can't touch them. They are minors and know how to exploit legal loopholes. At most, they'll pay compensation and apologize, and they won't even have a criminal record." Both Chen Lijuan and Wu Yangyang stiffened. The flame of hope that had just ignited on their faces was instantly doused by a bucket of cold water. Despair once again enveloped the mother and son. Just then, Jiang Feng shifted his tone, a cold smirk curling at the corner of his mouth. "But I have a way to make them pay the most painful price for their actions." He stared at Wu Yangyang and said, word by word, "Their crimes are enough to warrant life imprisonment." "What?" Chen Lijuan and Wu Yangyang both widened their eyes, thinking they had misheard. "Life imprisonment? They're just a few underage students. How is that possible?" "Lawyer Jiang, you're not joking, are you?" Chen Lijuan's voice was trembling. "I never joke." Jiang Feng's eyes were unusually serious. "But I need your absolute cooperation. No matter what I ask you to do, you must obey unconditionally." Looking into Jiang Feng's eyes, which seemed to see through everything, Chen Lijuan nodded as if under a spell. "Okay, we'll cooperate. As long as those beasts get what they deserve, I'll do anything." "Very good." Jiang Feng nodded, a meaningful smile spreading across his face. "The first step of the plan, go to the electronics market and buy 2 of the best high-definition pinhole cameras." Chen Lijuan was confused, not knowing what the cameras were for, but Wu Yangyang showed a thoughtful expression. Soon, the cameras were bought. "Sister Lijuan, let's go to your place." "Okay." The group took a car to the urban village in the suburbs. "Lawyer Jiang, sorry about the condition of my home," Chen Lijuan said somewhat awkwardly, making a cup of tea for Jiang Feng. "It's fine. As long as there are 2 rooms, that's enough." Jiang Feng's gaze didn't linger on the shabbiness. He walked straight into the inner room. It was an even smaller, dimmer space, with the only window covered by heavy curtains, as if trying to keep out even the last ray of sunlight. In the center of the room stood an old dressing table with peeling red lacquer and a dusty mirror, a keepsake left by Chen Lijuan's late husband. Jiang Feng deftly installed the 2 pinhole cameras he had bought in 2 concealed positions on the wall opposite the dressing table, one facing directly, the other at an angle, ensuring a 360-degree unobstructed surveillance range. He adjusted the image on his phone and nodded with satisfaction. Having done all this, he turned and fixed his gaze on Chen Lijuan's face, which was etched with weariness and unease. "And Chen, how much savings do you have left at home?" Chen Lijuan was taken aback. Subconsciously clutching the corner of her clothes, her voice was as faint as a mosquito's. Just 50,000. It's the little bit left from when we were treating Yang Yang's father." This was her last card, the final lifeline of this broken family. "Withdraw it all." Jiang Feng's tone brooked no argument. Chen Lijuan's body trembled violently, the spark of hope that had just ignited in her eyes instantly replaced by fear and suspicion. Wu Yangyang also held onto the doorframe, her pale face full of wariness. "Lawyer Jiang, what are you trying to do?" Chen Lijuan's voice was trembling. "Divide the money into 5 portions of 10,000 each and put them into the 5 drawers of the dressing table." Jiang Feng did not explain, only giving instructions. His calmness stood in stark contrast to the despair of this family. "And then what?" Chen Lijuan almost gritted her teeth as she asked, feeling as if she were on the edge of a cliff, and this young lawyer in front of her was about to push her off. Jiang Feng's gaze turned to Wu Yangyang, who had been silent all along. "After you return to school, you must actively seek out Wei and his group. Tell them that you are willing to pay protection money. Tell them that the last pension your father left is at home, and your mother doesn't know about it, so you can secretly take it to them. Lure them to the house to get the money. Remember, only let them take 10,000 each time." Boom! These words exploded like a thunderclap in Chen Lijuan's mind. "No!" she shrieked, the pent-up anger, humiliation, and fear of over 2 years erupting completely in that moment. "Why? Why should the money meant for my son go to those beasts? They've already destroyed our family and home. And now you want us to beg them like dogs? You want us to hand over our last lifeline to them? What kind of lawyer are you? You're helping them. Get out of here. Chun Li Juan completely broke down, pointing at the door, trembling all over. Wu Yangyang's face was also deathly pale, the light in his eyes completely extinguished. He felt he had trusted the wrong person after all. Facing this nearly out-of-control scene, Jiang Feng's expression didn't change in the slightest. He just quietly watched Chun Li Juan until her cries gradually turned into suppressed sobs. You think this is submission? Jiang Feng's voice was soft, but it pierced Chun Li Juan's heart like an icy awl. No, this is an open scheme. This is a one-way ticket to hell I tailored for them. A grim curve curled at the corner of his mouth, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop by a few degrees. Aunt Chun, Article 269 of China's criminal law stipulates that anyone who commits theft, fraud, or robbery and uses violence or threatens violence on the spot to conceal stolen goods, resist arrest, or destroy evidence shall be convicted and punished in accordance with Article 263 of this law. What is Article 263? Jiang Feng's eyes shifted to Wu Yangyang, and he enunciated each word. Aggravated burglary. As long as they step into this house and take a single cent from that drawer, the nature of the crime changes. It will no longer be extortion between classmates, it will be aggravated burglary. Chun Li Juan and Wu Yangyang were both stunned, overwhelmed by the legal jargon Jiang Feng was throwing at them. But Yangyang voluntarily gave it to them. Chun Li Juan instinctively retorted. Voluntarily? Jiang Feng sneered. A victim who suffered 2 years of bullying, 14 fractures, and severe depression faces 3 perpetrators. What they call as voluntariness is legally coercion. Moreover, Jiang Feng's eyes grew sharp. Do you know why I told you to split the money into 5 portions and have them come collect it 5 times? Because according to the Supreme People's Court's judicial interpretation, robbery of a huge amount carries a sentence of 10 years to life imprisonment, or even the death penalty. What constitutes a huge amount? 30 to 100,000 yuan falls under that category. And multiple robberies are a statutory aggravating circumstance. If they come once, it's burglary and robbery. If they come 5 times, it's multiple burglary and robbery with an amount of 50,000 yuan, which qualifies as a huge amount. Tell me, isn't that enough to put them behind bars for life? Every word Jiang Feng spoke struck Chun Li Juan and her son like a hammer blow to the heart. The anger and doubt on their faces slowly gave way to an unbelievable shock. They finally understood. This is not surrender. This is using their last 50,000 yuan to weave a legal net capable of devouring those 3 demons completely. For the first time, a terrifying light burst forth from Wu Yangyang's lifeless eyes. He looked at Jiang Feng as if gazing at a vengeful death god returned from hell. This plan is too ruthless. So ruthless that it sent chills down his spine. I understand. Wu Yangyang's voice was hoarse, but carried an unprecedented determination. I'll cooperate with you. He would personally send the 3 demons who had bullied him for 2 years to prison. Meanwhile, public opinion online still did not favor Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng took on the campus bullying case, the one where the victim had 14 fractures in 2 years. The plaintiff's lawyer in this case was Zhang Tao, a gold medal lawyer from Qiangxing law firm, and he lost miserably. Can Jiang Feng pull it off? The person above, you about the play god, his power is completely unknown. I bet the plaintiff will get at least 10 years this time. Stop joking. This case has no direct evidence. Even if a god came, they couldn't win. Jiang Feng is probably going to ruin his reputation this time. Qiangxing law firm. Senior partner Huang Bo looked at the online news, a disdainful sneer curling at the corner of his mouth. This Jiang Feng really doesn't know his limits, daring to take on any case. Having Lin Chong kick Jiang Feng out of the firm was the wisest decision he ever made. This kind of reckless person, who for the sake of so-called justice disregards the firm's interests, is a ticking time bomb. Just then his phone rang. It was in Guqing, a nouveau riche with some fame in Tianhai City. Lawyer Huang, regarding my son's matter, it seems the other side hired another lawyer named Jiang Feng, and it's causing quite a stir online. What do you think? Huang Bo's eyes lit up instantly. A pillow arrives just when you're feeling sleepy. He was just worried that his son, who had just returned from Stanford, had no cases to build his resume, and now one had fallen right into his lap. A sure-win lawsuit with an opponent like the notorious Jiang Feng. This is simply the perfect stepping stone. Don't worry, President, and Huang Bo's voice was steady and confident. This Jiang Feng? I know him. He's nothing but a clown who plays to the gallery. I'll have my son, Huang Xingyi, take over this case. With a Stanford law doctorate, he'll professionally crush a graduate from some third-tier political science and law university. Just wait and watch the show. Yu Law Firm. Gold-tier lawyer Zhang Tao's face darkened as he smashed the purple clay teacup in his hand. Scalding tea splashed all over the floor, but he didn't even notice. Too much. This is too much. He had just seen the news online that lawyer named Jiang Feng had taken on a case he himself had lost. To him, it was nothing less than a public humiliation. A jinx who got fired from a firm. A hothead who won one gender confrontational lawsuit through sleight of hand, and now thinks the sky's the limit. How dare he touch a case even Zhang Tao couldn't crack? Tao, calm down. No need to get angry over someone like him. The assistant carefully cleaned up the shards on the floor. Angry? Zhang Tao laughed in anger instead. I'll get mad at him. If he can actually win this case, Zhang Tao, will call him dad in front of the entire internet. He knew perfectly well how difficult this case was. The other party's methods were too sophisticated and their connections too deep, something a greenhorn like him couldn't possibly shake. In his view, Jiang Feng taking this case was just asking for humiliation. The online discussion about this case grew even more heated. A legal influencer with millions of followers, Luo Daxiang's commentary on criminal law, also released a video. Students, regarding the recent hot topic of the Tianhai campus bullying case, many friends have messaged me asking for my take. In the video, Luo Daxiang looked serious. From a legal standpoint, without direct evidence, the plaintiff's position is very weak. The previous loss also proves how tough conventional litigation is. But then, Luo Daxiang shifted his tone, a hint of intrigue flickering in his eyes. However, the lawyer for this case is Jiang Feng, a man who never plays by the rules. I don't know what shocking methods he'll use, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Because if even Jiang Feng lost, it would send an extremely dark signal to all the children and families suffering from bullying across the country. Luo Daxiang's video instantly pushed the attention on this case to its peak. At the entrance of Tianhai City, number 10 Middle School, a nondescript, ride-hailing car was parked at the street corner. Inside the car, Jiang Feng and Chun-Li Juan sat quietly, their eyes fixed on the school gate not far away. Chun-Li Juan's hands were clenched tightly from nervousness, her palms covered in cold sweat. Lawyer Jiang, Yang, can he really do it? Don't worry, Aunt Chun. Jiang Feng's tone was very calm. Your son is smarter and braver than you think. Before he finished speaking, the harsh roar of a motorcycle engine approached from afar. 3 flashy, modified Ghost Fire motorcycles parked in a triangle formation at the school gate, drawing the attention of passers-by. On the bikes were 3 teenagers with different hair colors. The leader, with bleached hair, was in Wei. He had a cigarette dangling from his mouth, a look of arrogance on his face, and the limited edition AJ sneakers on his feet gleamed particularly brightly under the setting sun. The green-haired Song Yang and blue-haired Zhong Tae behind him also acted like they were the kings of the world, all arrogant and domineering. Brother Wei, who are we messing with today? Song Yang blew a smoke ring and asked, What's the hurry? And Wei glanced at the school gate. Wait until school lets out, then we'll bring out that top student named Jiao Hong for some fun. I heard he recently won some Olympic gold medal. His family must have given him a nice bonus. They chatted without a care, as if discussing extortion was as simple as deciding where to grab dinner tonight. Soon, the school bell rang. Students poured out of the school gate like a tide. The trio, Wei, spotted their target in the crowd, a tall, thin, bespectacled boy with a gentle demeanor, the top student Jiao Hong. Hey, top scholar Jiao, come out a drink with us, guys. And Wei blocked Jiao Hong's path with his motorcycle. Jiao Hong turned pale with fear, clutching his backpack and backing away repeatedly. Seeing this, the surrounding students all gave them a wide berth as if avoiding the plague, with no one daring to step forward. At that moment, a somewhat thin figure stepped out from the crowd and stood in front of Jiao Hong. It was Wu Yang. His left arm was still in a cast, his face still pale, but his eyes were no longer empty and numb. It was a light mixed with determination and coldness. Wei, he said calmly, calling out the name of the blonde leader. And Wei was taken aback for a moment, then let out a sneer. Yo, isn't this our China doll who broke his own bones? What? Want to put on another show of tripping on flat ground today? Song Yang and Zhong Tae behind him also burst into loud laughter. The surrounding students looked at Wu Yangyang with sympathetic eyes. In their view, he was asking for trouble. Let him go. I'll go in his place. Wu Yangyang ignored their taunts. His voice was not loud, but exceptionally clear. A girl named Wang Jieja couldn't help but rush out. She was one of Wu Yangyang's few friends. Wu Yangyang, are you crazy? Come back. And Wei's smile turned amused. He looked at Wu Yangyang with great interest. Oh, what are you going to do for him? Break another leg? My dad left behind a death benefit after he died. Wu Yangyang slowly spoke the lines he had prepared, each word seeming to be squeezed out between his teeth. I don't know where my mom is. From now on, I'll pay their protection money. 3,000 per person per week. I'll give you 10,000. Just don't touch any other students in the school again. The entire school entrance fell into a dead silence. Everyone was stunned by Wu Yangyang's words. 3,000 each, that's 9,000 a week for the three of them. And this fool even added an extra 1,000, making it 10,000 a week. To a student, that was an astronomical sum. And Wei and his two cronies exchanged glances, seeing greed and ecstasy in each other's eyes. They had only planned to squeeze a few hundred or thousand out of Jiao Hong, never expecting this fool Wu Yangyang to willingly deliver a gold mine. Not bad, Wu Yangyang. And Wei's face broke into a satisfied smile. That's loyal. Where's the money? At my house, Wu Yangyang said, lowering his head. Come with me to get it. Okay. And Wei agreed without hesitation, waving his hand and leading Song Yang and Zhong Tae to follow behind Wu Yangyang. Watching Wu Yangyang's lonely and resolute back, Wang Jieja and the rescued Jiao Hong stood frozen in place, their hearts filled with guilt and shock. For the first time, they realized that this classmate, whom they had always considered a coward, had actually protected everyone in this way. In a restaurant on the street corner, Jiang Feng put down his phone. The screen showed everything that had just happened at the school gate. Chun-Li Juan was already in tears, covering her mouth to keep herself from sobbing. Lawyer Jiang, they really went. Jiang Feng's expression remained calm, as if everything was under control. The fish has taken the bait, he said to Chun-Li Juan, picking up his chopsticks and taking a bite of the dish. Don't worry, Aunt Chun. Your son is becoming a real hero. The surveillance footage from Yang Yang's home clearly recorded everything that happened next. And Wei, Song Yang, and Zhong Tae swaggered behind Wu Yangyang into the rundown bungalow. Greed and disdain were written all over their faces. Hurry up, stop dilly-dallying. And Wei urged impatiently. Wu Yangyang walked silently to the old dressing table, pulled open the first drawer, and took out a stack of bills tied with a rubber band. Here's 8,000, take it for now. Before he could finish, and Wei snatched the money and stuffed it directly into his pocket. 8,000? Wasn't it supposed to be 10,000? Green hair, Song Yang frowned. My mom might have saved the rest. I'll look for it next time, Wu Yangyang said, head lowered. Damn it, at least you know what's good for you. And Wei cursed, but the excitement of getting the money still outweighed his displeasure. I want to see 10,000 next week. If you're even a cent short, get ready to take another fall. With that, the three swaggered off. The first success. The next 3 days became the most agonizing time of Chun-Li Juan's life. And Wei and his two accomplices, like sharks drawn to blood, became addicted to the thrill. Every day after school, they would block Wu Yangyang and force him to go home to get money. The second time, 10,000. The third time, another 10,000. By the fifth time, when Wu Yangyang took the last 10,000 yuan from the bottom drawer, his hands were trembling. There's nothing left. Really nothing left. And Wei counted the bills in his hands, but the greed in his eyes did not diminish in the slightest. He caught sight of a pack of soft China cigarettes lying on the vanity, the ones Jiang Feng had deliberately placed there. These are some nice smokes. And Wei casually slipped the pack into his pocket. Those are left by my dad. Wu Yangyang instinctively reached out to stop him. Slap. And Wei swung his hand back and slapped Wu Yangyang hard across the face. You looking for death? What? I can't take a pack of your cigarettes. He grabbed Wu Yangyang by the collar and threatened viciously. I'm telling you, if you can't come up with the money by next week, I'll not only break your legs, but I'll also let your whining mother on the internet taste what it's like to have her legs broken. In the surveillance footage, Wu Yangyang slowly collapsed to the ground, blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Meanwhile, Wei and his two companions swaggered off, thoroughly satisfied. In the restaurant, Jiang Feng pressed the stop recording button on his phone, his face expressionless. Aunt Chun, the evidence is complete. Chun Li Juan watched the footage of her son being beaten on the phone, her heart wrenched, tears silently streaming down. Jiang Feng saved the last video, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Home invasion, violent threats the chain of evidence, is perfectly closed. He did not immediately call the police instead. He was waiting for the perfect moment. A moment that would nail these scumbags for good. He opened Wei's social media account. Sure enough, the latest post popped up, arrogant as ever. Belated 18th birthday party. Thanks, Brothers Tonight's tab is on mastering. The accompanying photo showed a luxurious scene at a KTV, with tables covered in foreign liquor and fruit platters, and the bill was clearly listed at 32,000 yuan. And the party took place on the very night they had snatched Wu Yangyang's last sum of money. Finally, a cruel smile curled at the corner of Jiang Feng's mouth. 18 years old. And Wei, you've really given me quite a gift. This meant that when Wei committed the last few robberies and violently threatened Wu Yangyang, he was already an adult with full criminal responsibility. The last fig leaf of the juvenile protection law had been torn off by his own hands. It was time to close the net. Xiangxing law firm. Huang Bo's son, Huang Xingyi, a freshly graduated Stanford student adorned in designer brands with an arrogant gaze, looked at Guoqing with clear disdain. President, and it's just a little scuffle between students. The other side even hired a joke of a lawyer. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. I checked him out. That Jiang Feng graduated from a third-rate college and was fired from his law firm. He's good for nothing except stirring up public opinion. Huang Xingyi's tone was dripping with superiority. I could win a case like this with my eyes closed. And Guoqing, swayed by his words, nodded repeatedly in agreement. Then I'll leave it to you, Attorney Huang. Just then, Jiang Feng's call came through. Mr. and Attorney Huang, I am Jiang Feng, the legal representative of Wu Yangyang. I suggest we have one final mediation before formally filing a lawsuit. The venue will be the meeting room at Tianhai No. 10 Middle School. School leaders, the local officer Liu, and both sets of parents will be present. Fine. Huang Xingyi agreed without a second thought. He was just looking forward to humiliating this arrogant Jiang Feng in front of everyone. In the afternoon, at Tianhai No. 10 Middle School's meeting room, the atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. The vice principal looked at Chun Li Juan with impatience. Parent, the school has thoroughly investigated the matter of your son's self-fall. Please stop making unreasonable trouble. Officer Liu beside him also tapped the table, speaking with bureaucratic airs. Chun Li Juan, I warn you, if you continue spreading rumors and harming the school's reputation, I'll have you detained for inciting trouble. And Wei's father, and Guoqing, sat with his legs crossed, his face full of disdain. It's just a few falls. Kids from poor families are so fussy. If you want money, just say it. 1 million? Why don't you just rob a bank? The other two parents chimed in, their words full of arrogance and contempt. They looked at Chun Li Juan, plainly dressed and worried, as if watching a clown. Jiang Feng hadn't said a word the entire time. He just quietly watched this group's performance, mentally noting every ugly expression. Only after everyone had spoken did he slowly stand up, a faint, pitying smile on his face. It seems you all refuse any form of settlement. Very well. He picked up his phone and, in front of everyone, pressed the dial button. Hello, is this the Tianhai City High Court? I want to file a case. The defendants, Wei, Song Yang, Zhong Te. The cause, intentional injury, and Jiang Feng paused, his gaze sweeping over the suddenly pale faces across from him, and spoke slowly, word by word. Home invasion robbery. With that, he hung up the phone and turned to leave the conference room, taking Chun Li Juan and her son with him, leaving behind a room full of stunned people who hadn't yet processed what had just happened. Huang Xingyi was the first to burst out laughing. Home invasion robbery? Has he lost his mind? Does he have any evidence? And Guoqing and the others followed suit, roaring with laughter as if they'd just heard the funniest joke of the year. But half an hour later, when the electronic version of the court summons arrived at Johnson Law Firm, everyone's laughter came to an abrupt halt.